What's going on, guys? So I got my 03 Cobra here, and I got my diff right there on the ground ready to go back in. So about a week ago, I went ahead and dropped the diff out. I noticed a leak prior to that, so I thought I'd reseal it. So I got a video of me taking the whole diff out and showing that process. That link will be in the description. I got another video removing the cover, cleaning out the inside, redoing the gasket, putting the cover back on, and torquing down the bolts and everything. That also will be in the description, real short video. And then I got a last video, also really short, just refilling the diff, showing the kind of fluid. And then after that, I let it sit on the table here in my garage for about 3 to 4 days just to see if there's any leaks. Seems a little obsessive, but I really didn't want to have to take it out again. So anyway, all those videos will be linked in the description. I'm going to go ahead and start getting this thing back up in the car. So first things first, I'm going to spin it around. I'm going to get under there. I put most of my nuts and bolts back where they came out from. So I'm going to get under there, take those out, and then I'll show you guys the process of putting it back in. If you watch the video of me taking it out, it's exactly the reverse order of taking it out. But I'll try to be as quick and whatnot with this one compared to that one. That one I was very detailed. I'll try to be as quick with this one as I can. So I'm going to go ahead and get under the car, get position and everything, and then I'll show you guys how this thing goes back. I'll try my best here to get you the angles, but there's not a lot of room under a car. So anyway, get the diff jacked up into place, and then there's these two right here. They're 15mm bolts. One's already in, and then I'll have to get the other one in. That support does wiggle a little bit, so you got to wiggle it around and get that in. And then those are 15mm bolts. These right here, it's a 15 on bottom, and there's an 18mm nut on top. Now, this piece right here, there is wedges, there's like little shims, you know, make sure they all stay in the orientation they're supposed to be in. And then go ahead and put that nut on top. That's an 18mm. Everything's just hand tight so far. You know, I put the wrench on top and just tighten it in with my fingers. Same thing here. And then the pane part here is going to be kind of moving this around, and so, you know, you gotta, once you get this up in there, keep the jack here if you can, if you got enough room. Slide this in that way, however you feel comfortable, just get it in. Once you get it in, put these in. Once these are all finger tight, you can remove the jack. You can see there's nothing holding it here. These are going to be the ones that are kind of a pain. We got to like turn them. I mean, this whole pathway here is not threaded, so you could hammer it in, but you could just drive them in, and then they got to go through that hole. So I'm working on that right now. I just wanted to show you guys. This is a 21, and if I remember correctly, that's a 15/16 nut that goes on that side. But first, you got to even be able to get it through. So once I get this through, I'll put that on, I'll tighten it down, I'll tighten these down, I'll tighten that down. Once I get that in, I'm going to start doing the axles and stuff, so I'll get back to you at that moment. So again, jack the diff up, get these guys in right here into that piece. They're 15s. Put a little blue Loctite on them. Get these guys in. No need for any Loctite or anything. There's a nut on top holding them in place. 15 on bottom, 18 on top, and then 22 and 15/16. I'm sorry, 21 bolt, 15/16 nut on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get that in, and then I will get back to you guys. We got these bolts tightened down. We got these in. I didn't tighten them fully yet because I wanted to have adjustability in this until I got these in. Driver's side for me went really easy. I mean, I couldn't hand turn it in, but I was able to just knock that thing in pretty easy. Passenger side was kind of a pain. My control arm kind of moved out of place because you got to be really careful when you take these bolts out not to go too far. And like a dumbass I did, control arm moved, and I had to go through a lot to get it back in. So next, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to pop this tissue out. I got the ABS sensors back in already because they're right there and easy. Just got to kind of move all this out, get this axle kind of shimmied up in there, but you want to make sure at the same time that you get your tie rod into that spot right there. So on this side, because of the issue I had, I went ahead and did that already. The axle's not fully in. I got my tie rod in, but it still needs to be tightened down with a wrench. Everything is pretty much where it needs to be on this side. I still need to put the lower control arm bolt back in, but I had to put the upper bolt in, the axle in, and the tie rod in to help me slip this bolt back in because I kind of fucked up on this side and pulled it out too far. So don't be like me and make that mistake. But anyway, so this is what needs to be done on this side now. Once I get all of that in, I'm going to go ahead and put the lower control arm bolts in. Remember, if you watch my video on taking it apart, I marked the camber bolt up top, so that way I can put it back in the orientation it was. I'm still going to get an alignment afterwards anyways, just in case, but I did that anyways. And the control, as you can see, the axle is not fully in. Now I'm going to, from the outside, just kind of give it like shove on the disc and get it in there, because I know it's in now. If I move this right here, you can see it kind of, I don't got much clearance, but you can see it kind of move. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and do all that, and then I'll get back to you guys. As you can see, this side is pretty much done. I got it all buttoned up, lower control arms bolted in and everything. Axle is completely in. There's the ABS sensor. ABS sensor on both sides is in already. So to get this axle in, you're gonna wanna like wiggle it around, push it out and in and all that. If you have a second person who can kind of support that side and like pull it in and out and everything, rotate a little bit for you, that'll be perfect. I have help, so it's going to make it a little easier. But if you don't, do your best. If you remove your caliper, you don't got to worry about your brake lines or anything. But I didn't want to do all that. I got a second pair of hands, so we're going to wiggle this around, get this axle in, and then just like over here, let's see if I can get enough light on that. Just like over here, we're going to get the inner tie rod in. Remember, like I said, that washer stays on top. And then it's a 15 on the bottom. I'm sorry, it's a 13 on the bottom and 15 on top. And then for the lower and upper control arm, it's 18s on both sides. And then remember, the top one has controls your camber. So if you marked it like a smart person would, then you can get it back where it is. Otherwise, just go get an alignment, or that's up to you really. Obviously, I want that thing properly aligned. And then remember, I made the mark here to show where the drive shaft goes in. I only have one bolt in the way because I'm going to remove the zip tie to get it out of my way. I have not fully put all those in. And then, I remember I showed you guys that's fully tightened down. But yeah, so I'm going to continue with that. Get the upper and lower control arm on the driver's side in. Let's see, other than the exhaust, what else am I missing? I think that's it, and then everything's pretty much buttoned up. And then if I remember correctly, I'll go over it a little bit once I double check, but I think it's a T45 for the ABS sensors. That is it. Pretty simple. The drive shaft bolts are 12 millimeter, 12 point. These were 15 on both top and bottom, holding this brace in. Just make sure with your axle that it's in as much as it can be. You got to wiggle it around, like rotate it. You'll feel it bite onto the gears inside the diff, and then after that, from out there, you can kind of just push it in. You'll feel it go in. You won't want to go any further than that because your whole setup can't go any further. So that's in. There's like a little gap right there, enough to put a pry bar in there, pretty much. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll show you guys everything when it's all buttoned up, and then that's it. So everything's officially buttoned up. I just gotta cut the zip tie out of here. I put some blue Loctite on all of these 12 millimeter 12 point bolts, tighten them down. I had to use an open end wrench and a pipe. I couldn't really get a socket to fit in this little bit of space. This is all tightened down. Everything's all good. These are all tightened down. And then these are, like I said, a 15 and an 18. And if I remember correctly, let me double check. Yeah, the 15 is on the bottom, the 18 is on the top. Remember, with your tie rods, washer goes right there, and these are a 13 on the bottom and a 15 on the top. What else did we have? Your nut and bolt to go on the upper and lower control arm are an 18 on both ends. And then remember, if you made that mark in the beginning, it shows you how to line that back up. The hardest thing for me was getting this bar back in place, and then I backed this out too much when I took the bar out, so my control arm kind of removed from there, and it was a pain getting it back in and to get this bolt to go back through. Otherwise, other than the exhaust, there she is. Other than the exhaust, everything is back together. Obviously, other than the wheels as well. But that's it, guys. Real simple. Just a little video on resealing the diff. And like I said in the beginning of this video, I had the diff sitting on the table for a couple days just to make sure nothing leaks. And now it has also been underneath this car for over a day, and there's no leaks. I cleaned that diff housing as much as I could. Took a rag, give it the old Hawk Tua, spit on that thing, and cleaned it up as much as I could. But that's it. So if you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free. I do my best to respond to all my comments. Other than that, guys, as always, peace.